Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of season 2. We are very happy to have you join us for our newest season. Today's episode is about having a rough morning, which means if you've had a difficult time getting out of bed or felt like you were rushing around trying to get out the door so you won't be late, this episode is for you. We'll be chatting about some useful phrases and vocabulary in both American and British English that are perfect for talking about those rough and difficult mornings. But before we get into that, if you are new here, welcome to High Level Listening. I'm Kat, an American English teacher from the United States.
I'm Mark, the British voice here at High Level Listening. So together we make High Level Listening a fun and interesting way to take your intermediate and advanced English to the next level with real life English from two experienced English teachers from different parts of the world.
We are so thankful to have everyone here, and we are really looking forward to finally kicking off season 2. If you're interested in taking your studying to the next level, we'd love for you to join us as a member on YouTube. Members get PDF transcripts of all of our episodes, and they also get discounts on study packs and study materials as a big thank you.
Okay, so let's get on with today's class, shall we? Today, as Kat mentioned, we're going to talk about getting through a rough morning. Rough, again, means difficult. Difficult because you didn't sleep well, or you woke up late, or you were very tired, and you're trying to get to work on time.
So, season 2 is pretty much going to continue the way that we were teaching in our last season. Mark will start by asking me a question, and I'll start with my American script full of interesting phrases, vocabulary, expressions, and grammar with my American accent and style of speaking.
Then I'll share my similar script, but with my British accent and my British style. We will say more or less the same thing, but you'll get the perspective of both the American and British sides all in one.
So, after the scripts, we will go through the entire thing again, explaining all the best vocabulary, expressions, and even some grammar to help you feel more comfortable and confident in your English skills, and to use some of these same phrases to talk about your own rough mornings.
Okay, so are you ready for the first episode of season 2? The question is, how was your morning?
This morning was rough. You'd think I'd learn, but last night I kind of maybe found myself scrolling on my phone way past my bedtime again. Big mistake. I spent half the night tossing and turning, only to wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. And if that wasn't enough, trying to get the kids ready this morning was like herding cats. They just wouldn't cooperate, which made everything feel 10 times more hectic. By the time I finally got everyone out the door, I was already running late, feeling totally rushed and groggy. It set a rough tone for the morning, and now, sitting at my desk, I'm just trying to shake off that fog and get into work mode. I will definitely be going to bed early tonight. Okay, so Mark is going to he's going to have a separate script, and the meaning of the script is pretty much the same. We didn't want to get too complicated. So if you start to understand what Mark is saying and start to understand what I am saying, then we will be able to work through the scripts together. So let's have Mark's British style.
This morning was actually a bit of a rough one. I stayed up far too late last night just staring at my phone. I think I overdid it because I was in and out all night and I barely got a wink of sleep, so I felt really groggy when I woke up. Then, to top it off, the kids were being a nightmare. I was still quite ratty from the night before, so there may have been a bit of shouting. So by the time we were out the door, we were quite behind schedule. But now, I'm just trying to catch my breath and properly wake up. It was a manic start, to say the least. Definitely aiming for an early night tonight. Okay, so now you've heard both scripts. Like Kat said, we will go through the most interesting phrases and vocabulary, explain them, give some more examples, and help you grasp them enough to use them when you have a rough morning. So, Kat, how was your morning? What was your first line?
This morning was rough. This morning was rough. Now, I want to talk about in English that it's very common to ask and talk about our day, not just how we felt, but how the day, the morning, the afternoon, the evening went. So when I say this morning was rough, that means I had a difficult morning. I didn't like this morning very, very much. So today wasn't great. This morning was really good. This morning was really difficult. I had a pretty nice morning. I had a difficult morning. The word rough, ROUGH, just sounds like RUFF, rough. Physically, if you touch something like a rock and it's rough, it is not smooth. But we also use this to describe something that might be difficult. Ugh, that test was rough. I didn't know anything. Ugh, that class was really rough. I had a hard time following it. So we also use this word for your day, meaning it was difficult. It was not easy. It didn't go smoothly at all. It was rough. What about you, Mark? How was your morning?
This morning was actually a bit of a rough one. So I used the same word as Kat, rough. She said, this morning was rough. I said, this morning was actually a bit of a rough one. A rough one, a rough morning. These sentences have the same meaning, they're just different ways of saying it. One reason we're talking about the morning was in the past tense. In this script, I imagine that we are at work and it's only 9 a.m. or 9:30 or maybe 10 a.m. But you can talk about the morning as just the routine in the morning when you wake up, put on your clothes, have breakfast, and leave. So the morning isn't finished, but when I'm talking about your little routine where you get ready and go, that is. So how was your morning? I can ask that even at 9 or 10 a.m. So that's why I'm using the past tense as well. This morning was actually a bit of a rough one. So this could be a cultural difference between the UK and the US, or something similar between all native speakers. A bit of a rough one. A rough morning is a bad morning. It's a stressful, difficult morning. And I think in English, we like to make our problems seem smaller or reduce our problems so they don't sound so bad. So that's why I said a bit of a rough one. A bit of makes it smaller. It makes the problem seem less. In the UK, we like to do this, and it's called understating or understatements, where we make problems sound smaller or less serious. So I imagine an American speaker might say, oh yeah, it was really rough. But as a Brit, yeah, it was a bit rough. Or an American could say, that was really hard. And I might say, yeah, it was a bit tricky. So even if it's the same message, we will make it smaller in the UK and seem less serious. Am I right about that, or am I
I definitely
stereotyping?
think that I think a lot of people fit into that stereotype, and language does as well. I think Americans tend to be a bit more direct and kind of say it like it is. And you kind of, even the way that we write emails, you kind of will say a few extra words just to make it sound a little nicer. We definitely do this in American English as well. It depends on the situation. Do I want to make it sound a bit more positive? Did I have a bad day, or it wasn't a good day? So we tend to take negative language and do exactly what Mark said, a little bit, kinda, a little. We often soften those negative things, or even change the sentence completely. Oh, did you have a bad day today? Oh, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Well, so you had a bad day. Had a bad day, just it wasn't the best day. So we often do that in language, and I did like that point, I like the sentence comparison. "Oh, this morning was rough." And you said, "Oh, this morning was actually a bit of a rough one."
Yeah, just a bit rough. Don't pity me. Don't worry. I'm not asking for sympathy. Just a bit rough. But yeah, if a British person says it was a bit rough, it could mean it was very bad, but we
Mhm.
just won't say it. We
Yeah.
won't burden you. with that pain. Anyway,
Now, if
okay.
if I told you, "Oh, this morning was rough," what would you normally ask me back?
Like, oh, what happened?
Yeah. I think, what happened is a really good question that you can ask if something bad happened to someone else or someone's having a difficult morning. And I say, "You'd think I'd learn, but last night I kind of maybe found myself scrolling on my phone way past my bedtime again. Big mistake." So I started with the sentence, "You'd think I'd learn." You would think that I would learn. This means that I've made this mistake many times before. And you, not you, but people in general, would hope that I would learn from my mistake, but I haven't. So you'd think I'd learn. You'd think I'd learn. I've made this mistake before. You think I would learn that I shouldn't do that, but I haven't. So I kind of maybe found myself scrolling on my phone. Now I'm saying kinda, maybe, I'm a little guilty here. I'm feeling a little ashamed of myself, these are filler words, kinda, maybe, oh, if that was me, but I am feeling a little guilty, so I'm kind of, shortening, I'm elongating, actually. I'm making the sentence a little longer because I don't really wanna tell you why I have had such a rough morning because it's my fault. So, scrolling on my phone, when you have your phone and you have your thumb and you're scrolling through your phone, scrolling on your phone, way past my bedtime. If something is way past, it's much further past, way past my bedtime. Now, normally adults don't really have a bedtime. A bedtime is the time that your children are usually supposed to go to sleep. But I think many adults who have a good evening routine, they know what time they should be in bed. So we could definitely say that we have a bedtime. And definitely was scrolling on my phone way past my bedtime. Big mistake. Big mistake.
I think it's funny to talk about yourself like a kid. Like, I stayed up past my bedtime. Hee hee. It could be
See?
like a joke. Yeah, I'm talking about myself like a kid. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
say it in a funny way that way.
Mhm.
So in my case, I stayed up far too late last night just staring at my phone. So Kat in her American script said way past. I said far too
Mm.
late.
Good
I'm not sure if that's a
pronunciation as well.
yes, far too late. Um,
Far, far too late.
yes. Okay,
Doesn't
you can
sound
hear
as
the R.
nice. I don't like it.
I stayed up far too late last night. So I stayed up much too late would also be correct. I stayed up far too late. So really later than I should have. This is the reason I felt tired. I stayed up till 2 a.m. playing games. If you're wondering about phrasal verbs here, stayed up is when
Mm.
you stay awake at home. You're at home. I stayed awake later than usual, but I was in my house. So I stayed up looking at my phone. I stayed up watching TV. But if you went out to a bar, a restaurant, or you were out at a party until very late, then I stayed out.
That's a
I
good point.
stayed out at a bar or at a restaurant until 2. If I'm at home, I stayed up
Mm.
until 2. So up means you were at home. So that's an important difference that affects the meaning. And I was just staring at my phone. So like Kat was scrolling, moving her thumb and watching videos. Staring means the same thing. I'm looking, playing, or watching my phone. The reason I say staring is because I want to put a kind of negative emphasis on this. Because when I'm watching videos, looking at memes, photos, I'm wasting my time. I'm not really learning anything. This isn't very productive or memorable. Sometimes I put down my phone and I can't remember. anything I just saw. So to stare is to just look at something without moving. And that's what I'm doing on my phone. I just stare at my phone like I'm just wasting time. So, yeah, again, I feel a bit guilty. This is a mistake and I know it's bad. So I wasn't looking at my phone. I was staring at my phone mindlessly. Okay. So when you finally went to bed, Kat, did you sleep okay?
So I spent half the night tossing and turning, only to wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. All right. Even Mark and I had to have a little bit of a discussion about how to teach this sentence. First, we're going to start with the vocabulary. Okay, so we've got some phrases in here. Tossing and turning. Tossing and turning. Now, we've all had those nights where we are tossing, which means to throw. I think of, sheets on, sheets off, covers on, covers off. Tossing is also moving your body. So tossing your body around, tossing and turning, sleeping this way, sleeping that way. Just not feeling comfortable and not sleeping very soundly, which means sleeping very heavily or sleeping through the night. So tossing and turning. And this is one of those phrases that sticks together. I was tossing all night. Doesn't quite, I was turning all night. No, I was tossing and turning all night. I know exactly what you mean when you say this phrase together. So we usually keep those words together. Only to wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. So the grammar is a little difficult here. We started with, I spent the night tossing and turning. I spent the night tossing and turning. Then I didn't sleep at all. Then I woke up feeling bad. This is our timeline. This is what happened in order. I spent the night tossing and turning. I didn't sleep at all. I woke up feeling bad. So, because we're rearranging the timeline, we need to use some grammar so you know by the grammar where the timeline pieces go. So, I have used the past perfect because I'm not really telling the story in order. So here it is. I spent half the night tossing and turning. Spent, that's finished. Only to wake up feeling like I hadn't slept at all. So I'm waking up, but I'm talking about something that happened before I woke up. So feeling like I hadn't slept at all. I know this is very advanced grammar, so I'm going to give you a couple of other sentences just to help you with this. I woke up feeling like I had slept very badly. I woke up feeling like I had slept really well. I woke up feeling like I had run a marathon. My legs hurt so bad. So these are some grammar examples that we just naturally would use because we woke up and we want to talk about something that happened overnight before we woke up. All right. So what about you, Mark? How'd you sleep?
Yes. Yeah. Well done, by the way. I think you explained that really well. That's
Thank you.
tricky. Yes. So how did I sleep? I think I overdid it because I was in and out all night and I barely got a wink of sleep. So I felt really groggy when I woke up. So Kat's phrase was tossing and turning, which we definitely use in the UK. An alternative phrase, I was in and out. I was in and out all night. So if I'm in, I'm sleeping. If I'm out, then I'm out of sleep or I'm out of a dream. It's a phrase that sticks together as well. Tossing and turning, in and out. I think you could also use this if someone was sick. Like if you have a fever and you can sleep for a little bit and then you wake up, I was in and out. So the reason
Think of being
I
on an
didn't sleep well.
airplane and not being able to sleep, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, right. You start to fall asleep and then you're out. So The reason I'm in and out is because I overdid it. I think I overdid it. It is staring at my phone. I overdid it means I did it too much. There's too many videos, too many games, or my brain was too active and stimulated. So mentally, my brain couldn't shut down. You might also say this after exercise. If you hurt yourself, if you lift too much weight or stress your body, I overdid it at the gym. So if you overdo it, you do it too much. So I was in and out all night, and I barely got a wink of sleep. So sleep is uncountable, I suppose, but you can measure sleep, a wink of sleep. A wink of sleep is a very short amount of sleep.
Mm.
So this means I didn't even get a little bit of sleep. Not even a little bit. Or it felt that way. It felt like I closed my eyes, and then 2 seconds later, I was awake again. So I barely got a wink of sleep. This could happen from your phone. Maybe you have noisy neighbors. Maybe you have noisy pets. Or there's a party next door. Or you're on a plane, like Kat said. It's hard to get a wink of sleep. And then I felt really groggy when I woke up. Groggy is a word that Kat will use later as well. Groggy is feeling really tired and sleepy. I think groggy is a good one because it's how you feel, and I think it's how you look as well. When you wake up, you go to the bathroom and you look in the mirror and you see bags under your eyes, your cheeks and eyes are kind of droopy, you look groggy. So I feel groggy because I'm tired, and I look it too. Okay, so let's move on. What else happened after you woke up?
And if that wasn't enough, trying to get the kids ready this morning was like herding cats. Now be careful with this phrase, not hurting cats. No, we would never do that. Never. Herding. Herding cats. Herding. Now, let's go to the cool phrase because I love this phrase, herding cats. Herding is what you do when you bring animals together, like cowboys herd cows. They try to keep all the cows together to get them to move from place to place. Now, if you've ever tried to herd cats, you might think, well, that's impossible. You couldn't possibly herd cats. And that's the point. It was so difficult that it was like herding cats, which means that, one, if you have lots of things going on at once and you try to fix one problem and the other, all the other ones now have problems. When you're trying to chat with one child while the other one is getting ready and then someone's lost their shoes and you try to find the shoes and then the other one is eating something off the floor, it's like herding cats. It's like herding cats. So they just wouldn't cooperate, which made everything feel 10 times more hectic. They just wouldn't cooperate, which made everything feel 10 times more hectic. So to cooperate is to work well with someone else. Just please cooperate and work with me here, okay? But they just wouldn't cooperate. They just wouldn't work with me. Children, work with me here, please. Now, I like this phrase, which made everything feel 10 times more hectic. Not just much more hectic, 10 times more hectic. So when we use this phrase, we mean like a multiplier of 10. So not only was it hectic, my kids not cooperating, that made it 10 times harder. That made it 10 times more difficult, 10 times more hectic. It's just a funny phrase that we can use to say much more difficult, much harder, 10 times harder, 10 times more difficult, 10 times more hectic. Okay, so what about you? What else happened?
Just maybe one more side point about your part that's really interesting. We're talking about a negative experience, right? A rough morning. And I think when we tell a story about a bad moment, instead of didn't, we use wouldn't. Like you did, they wouldn't
Mm,
cooperate. I can also imagine another rough morning saying, my kids wouldn't eat breakfast, my car wouldn't start, the
mm,
door wouldn't open. And
mm.
I feel like when there's a bad thing that happened in the past, I naturally want to use wouldn't. And I
It
only just
feels
noticed that
like
listening to your
it
script.
feels like the kids had a choice and they chose
Ah,
not to cooperate. They just wouldn't do it. They just absolutely
mm,
chose, no, absolutely not, mom. I will not be cooperating today. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
right.
And
I
it
think
kind of
that
feels
adds
like,
to the frustration,
like my
the
car
annoying part.
wouldn't start. My car had the option of starting. Okay. We had the choice to start and it chose not to. It just wouldn't do it. It
Yeah,
chose
like it
not to. It wouldn't
refused.
start.
Mm. No,
No,
not
thanks.
today. I don't want to go to work. It's
But
cold.
that is interesting. You're totally right. I think of it with, oh, my boss wouldn't help me. He chose not to. He chose not to help me. Or, yeah, my car wouldn't start instead of my car didn't start. It feels like didn't is like, well, it did or it did not, but wouldn't feels like more like
Like
there
the car
was,
didn't want to.
yeah,
Everything was against me. This
everything
was a
was
really
against me.
annoying day.
Good
Yeah.
point.
So, okay. Well, for me, then to top it off, the kids were being a nightmare. I was still quite ratty from the night before, so there may have been a bit of shouting.
Your your sentence made me laugh so much. The kids were being a nightmare. We just had a rough morning, honestly. This was a rough morning for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm awake now, but now my kids are being a nightmare. So I think this phrase might be more common in the UK, but if anything is very difficult or stressful, then it is a nightmare or it was a nightmare. So maybe the kids aren't eating their breakfast. Ugh, what a nightmare. Or maybe my car broke down. Ugh, that's a nightmare as well. So if I feel that something is really difficult, almost impossible to overcome, it's a nightmare. Obviously, when you sleep and you have a bad dream, that's a nightmare. But when you're awake, things can be nightmares too. So the fun never stops. A word that I think is only used in the UK.
This
I
is
was
new to
still quite,
me.
yeah,
I actually, when I saw it in your script, I don't think I know what this word means.
ah. I can picture my mum saying this. She's from Scotland, and so maybe it is a Scottish influence or more common up there. I was still quite ratty from the night before.
Okay.
Right, so earlier we heard groggy. Groggy
Mhm.
is feeling tired and looking tired. Ratty is being in a really bad mood or having
Oh,
a short temper. And
okay.
probably because you're tired. Like after you have a long flight and you land, people are tired from the journey or stressed, and they might have a short temper. Or when you wake up and you've had a bad night's sleep, you could be quite ratty. And again, I can hear my mum saying this because she often is ratty. She'll wake up and she can't find her keys. And because she's tired, she's ratty. She's like, oh, where are my blooming keys? Where did I put the she's shouting at her shoes. She's shouting around the house because she's angry, because she's tired. So that's ratty. And if
Mm,
I'm ratty, I have a short temper. So again, that was a brand new word for you.
it
Maybe
was.
that's just the UK. Sure. So, yes, like Kat said earlier as well, she felt a little bit guilty about staying up so late. So she said, I might have stayed up too late. I did the same thing. I feel a bit guilty about shouting at my children. I said, there may have been a bit of shouting.
Maybe a
So, yeah,
little
there
bit of this, a
may,
bit of
yeah,
shouting.
I'm being apologetic. I feel
Mm.
bad. I feel a bit guilty. A good parent shouldn't shout at their children, even on bad days. And it's the same thing with the British understatement. Shouting at your children is not a good thing, so we'll make that problem smaller and less serious. A bit of shouting. Just a bit of shouting. Also, I didn't say I shouted. because again, that sounds more like my fault, my bad parenting. So again, to make the problem seem less personal or to help my guilt, there may have been a bit of shouting. I'm not saying who did it. Maybe it was me, maybe it was my kids. But yeah, there may have been a bit of shouting. So, did you end up being late when you finally got out the door?
By the time I finally got everyone out the door, I was already running late, feeling totally rushed and groggy. So I started the sentence with by the time, by the time, by the time I did something. Okay, so we're still talking in the past. I'm still telling a story about something that happened in the past. So at the moment, I got everyone out the door. By the time I got everyone out the door, I was already running late. I was already running late. Now, I could have said I was running late, but I use the word already because I'm a bit shocked. I'm a bit surprised that I'm already late. I mean, I knew I might be late today, maybe a little bit, but by the time I finally got everyone out the door, I was already running late. So I found out I was late earlier than I expected. Oh, you're already at the cafe? You arrived earlier than I expected. Oh, you already finished your dinner? You ate your dinner faster than I expected. So I was already running late. So what? Uh, I'm already late? Oh my gosh, where's the time? So I'm surprised by that. Feeling totally rushed and groggy. Rushed. If you have a very rushed morning, if you are feeling rushed, that means that you are feeling the pressure to move faster. You're looking at the time. Oh gosh, we've really got to go. Busy, busy, busy. Got to go, 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 go. I'm feeling pushed for time. I'm feeling very rushed. And I can rush my own kids. Hey, if you're not ready, come on, we got to go. We got to go. Let's go, go, go. Come on, out the door, out the door. So I am rushing my kids and I'm also feeling rushed. Then the other word that we used, groggy, groggy. Now, I also think of this word too if you've ever taken any medicine and one of the side effects was feeling groggy. It just really kind of feels like pressure in your head, and it's much more than feeling just a bit sleepy, you know? It's more than that, definitely.
Or like drowsy?
Drowsy is a good one too. I think that definitely is more of like a formal side effect as well from something that it's like I probably wouldn't naturally say, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit drowsy today." I think that would be, "Oh, my
Mm,
medicine made me feel drowsy."
right.
So, definitely groggy would be a little bit more common. Just kind of really feeling like I can't think yet.
Mm, right. Yeah, if you said, I'm drowsy, I imagine you took something, some medicine.
Yes.
If
Hmm.
you said, I'm groggy, maybe you just woke up late or you just
Yeah.
went to bed late. Yeah.
Or didn't sleep well, or, got off a plane, or, sat on the
Mhm.
bus and fell asleep on the bus, groggy. Don't know where you are. What about you, Mark? Did you end up being late?
So by the time we were out the door, we were quite behind schedule. So yes, I use the same phrase as Kat. By the time, so by the time means at the moment, we were out the door. Out the door, we both used to leave your house. And
Mhm.
the emphasis here is going quickly. Like, come on, out the door, go, go, go. So we were out the door. We were quite behind schedule. So the schedule is on time. Behind the schedule is late. And we were quite behind schedule. Behind schedule could be 5 or 10 minutes. Quite behind schedule, maybe 15, 20, maybe more. So again, I'm using quite to make the problem feel smaller, but yeah, this is understatement again. So if you're supposed to leave at 7:30 and you leave at 7:45, you are quite behind schedule. or if something is supposed to start at 8 and it starts at 8:30, it's quite behind schedule. So, do you think everything will be okay?
No, it set a rough tone for the morning, and now, sitting at my desk, I'm just trying to shake off that fog and get into work mode. So, it set a rough tone for the morning. My morning was rough. It set a rough tone for the morning. I like this phrase, to set a tone. It sort of means that you're trying to change the mood or change the atmosphere. Now, we have positive ones. I wanted to set a romantic tone for the dinner, so I got flowers and played some nice music and everything like that. You can set a relaxing tone with cozy chairs, good coffee, soft music. So if someone or something sets the tone, it changes the mood. So, it set a rough tone for the morning. That means it could have been an okay morning, but it changed the mood completely. It set a rough tone for the morning. And now, sitting at my desk, I'm just trying to shake off that fog and get into work mode. So we're switching verb tense now. Now I'm telling the story. I'm sitting at my desk. I'm trying to shake off the fog. So I'm trying to shake off and to get into work mode. So I'm just trying to do this verb and I'm trying to do this verb. Shake off that fog, just like the Taylor Swift song, Shake It Off. This means to let go of the feeling. Try to remove that feeling. Try to just shake it off a little bit. Shake off that fog. Just like fog that we have, if it's foggy outside, it's like the clouds have come from the sky down to the ground. So it's foggy, very difficult to see. We can have that. We call it brain fog, brain being what's inside your head, brain fog. And it's hard to see in front of you. It's hard to think clearly. And you can have brain fog. So we want to try to shake off that fog and get into work mode. Get into work mode. Just like a computer, you have dark mode, light mode. You have different kind of levels and almost different personalities. If I'm in work mode, I'm serious, I'm professional, I'm hardworking. If I'm in vacation mode, however, I am not getting on my phone. I'm having some drinks with friends. I'm laying out by the pool. I am a completely different person. So we all have different modes. Parenting mode, work mode, teacher mode. Oh, yes, yes. When Mark and I get onto these podcasts and we're like, okay, we're in teacher mode now. We're explaining things, we're simplifying. We're talking a little bit differently. We're trying to help. We don't usually do this to our friends. All right. So where are we now? Let's see. Do you think everything will be okay, Mark?
Yes. So now I'm just trying to catch my breath and properly wake up. It was a manic start, to say the least. So, again, like Kat said, we're switching to the present continuous. I am trying now. I'm at work. I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm trying to catch my breath. Catch my breath usually is after exercise. If you go running and you stop, you catch your breath and recover. So you recover from exercise, but you can also use it after busy mornings or difficult time. I did lots of different things. I made breakfast. I got dressed. I took the kids to school. I drove to work. I went upstairs. Whew, that's a lot of things to do. I need a minute to recover and catch my breath. So you might even tell someone, just give me a second to catch my breath. That actually means give me a second to think. So catch my breath can be literally or like mentally. Just give me a second. I need to catch my breath. I needed to catch my breath and properly wake up. So in the morning, yes, you wake up and your eyes open. I woke up. But there is another meaning to it to be fully mentally alert and working. So you can wake up, you can get in your car, and you can drive to work, and you don't remember anything. You don't remember what you did. You just appeared at work. Then, when you drink some coffee, then you finally wake up. You really wake up. You properly wake up. That means that I can help. I can solve problems now. I can remember things.
My
I can
brain is
work well.
functioning.
Yeah, like I am online properly. Like, so yeah, sometimes I need to drink coffee to really wake up. Or you can arrive at work and be like, ugh, I haven't woken up yet. Like your eyes are open, but your brain is not going at 100%. So I needed some time to catch my breath and properly wake up. It was a manic start, to say the least. A manic start is a hectic, chaotic, stressful start. The kids were being a nightmare. I woke up late. It was manic and disorganized, to say the least.
Mm.
To say the least, again, this might be some British understatement. I don't want to make my problems bigger. I want to make my problems less dramatic and smaller. So, to say the least is a way of making the problem smaller. I mean that manic is it's not the strongest word I could use. It was actually maybe worse than manic, but I don't want to be dramatic. It was $1,000. It was expensive, to say the least. Or it was a 12-hour flight. It was long, to say the least. So again, I can keep my problems to myself. I don't want to be dramatic and burden everyone else with that phrase. So, Kat, do you think things will be better tomorrow?
Well, I will definitely be going to bed early tonight. I say that every day, but I'm not sure if that's always true. Now, this was kind of interesting because I said I will definitely be going to bed early tonight. We could also say, I will definitely go to bed early tonight. What's the difference between go to bed early tonight and be going to bed early tonight? Well, there's no real difference in the meaning. However, there is a bit of a feeling when we are going to bed early tonight, to be going to bed early tonight. It sounds more of like the activity around going to bed instead of just, okay, go to bed. So oftentimes when we add the ing form, we're thinking more of the activity around it. Turning the phone off, getting the kids to bed, putting on nice PJs, comfy sheets, have your pillow the way you want it, getting kind of cozy and comfortable. That's all part of going to bed. So I naturally said, I will definitely be going to bed early tonight. I will definitely be going to bed early tonight. So that's why we sometimes choose that grammar instead of simply saying, I will definitely go to bed early tonight.
It's the
Yes
whole
or no?
process,
On
right?
or off? Mm-hmm.
Like having a nice cup of tea, getting into
Yes.
bed. That sounds, yeah, that makes me feel cozy. I want to go to bed.
I
I
want to
want
go
to
to bed
start
right now.
getting to bed. Yeah, that sounds really nice.
Uh-huh. So what about you? Do you think things will be better tomorrow?
Definitely aiming for an early night tonight. So the main phrase here, an early night. An early night is going to bed earlier than usual. You might say, I need an early night tonight
Mhm.
because I'm really tired. Or if you've already thought about it and you've already decided, I am getting an early night tonight. I will not stay up on my phone. I will not just stare at TikTok all
No
day.
more late
I'm
nights. No more late nights. We
right.
need an early night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. A late night, an early night. Even if there's like a big holiday or a big festival, like New Year's Eve, a lot of people stay up or stay out until midnight, but some people just stay home and have an early night.
Mhm.
Like you go to bed before 12, you go to bed before midnight and kind of skip it. And that's an early night.
All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for the very first episode. We have lots of very cool episodes coming up for you. We will have another season of 20 episodes. We'll also be starting to put together some of the study packs, some of the guided lessons, which we will probably start to announce in the next few episodes or so. Also, of course, we do appreciate any of the members that have joined us as high-level listeners. It really helps us a lot, and we create those PDF transcripts for you for every single advanced episode so you can study better and you can really enjoy every single word by word.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us again, and we will see you again for another episode very soon. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.